traveling.
Greetings. Greetings and welcome back to a very special edition of what we're up to today. Just got back from SEMA. Boy, are our arms tired. Long flight. Long week away. Met a lot of really cool people. I think the cars showed really well. Thank y'all, each and every one of you, for stopping by and saying hello. It's crazy how many people watch YouTube, watch the TV. It's like really interesting. And I'm stoked. No bad reviews. Everybody was like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
What was your take on it?
I loved SEMA this year. I felt like there was a lot of great energy. We met Elvis.
And Evil.
Evil.
Yeah.
But it was just like good energy. A lot of folks came out. They wanted to meet me from the YouTube. They were surprised to see me on the other side.
Jamie was signing cards
I
as
was.
well.
That felt so weird.
Pretty cool.
I'm used to being a nurse and signing like charts and things like that. So
I'm just used to signing checks, just paying all the
right.
time.
But no, it was like cool. There was a lot of cool stuff there. Lots of energy, a lot of people. And yeah, it was good all around. And your cars, you and Victor's cars did show really well.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to look for a video within the next week or so. I got to kind of stitch together a bunch of footage.
And we didn't get to tour around much at all. We were really busy, and there was a lot of booths and people that I wanted to visit with, and we didn't get there. It was a whirlwind experience.
It's kind of like when we go to Burning Man, and like we're like, yeah, we're gonna see you, and then
it coincided with Halloween. It coincided with having some meetings, with having dinner with Victor and the crew, and a couple other engagements, and our wedding anniversary, of course, our nice dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to work on a truck.
Right, and I want a video and work
on
that
bug sitting right here. If you saw the last episodes, we haven't touched it since. We literally packed up shop and went to Vegas. So we got Flame Truck here, which will become Lil Jewel. Just want to say to Rich Bartle, don't be so sad, man. I got the truck from Rich, and I saw he posted a crying face when I asked about help for disassembling this cab, but the Flame Truck will live on. I mean, come on, dude. You said make something cool, make something weird out of Flame Truck. So that's what we're up to.
Aww.
The whole chassis is going to live on with the Lil Jewel project. So essentially, the heart. What's the word for flame in Spanish?
Corazon. No.
That's
I
heart.
don't know. That's heart.
He's going to say something about that. Another language, but either way, the heart of Flame will live on.
A lot of people said that this is kind of their dream truck, but we felt that it was a great chassis for Lil Jewel.
It's super heavy duty. The engine is very low miles. Everything mechanically works awesome, so why not repurpose that? The Flame was sitting here for a few years, and we barely used it because it's just so big for ranching around. A pickup truck is adequate here, so I did move a couple things around with it, but we traded the lift gate to Victor for his nursery, so that is working every day. What's not to like about that? So we'll use the engine, transmission, chassis, etc. for our project.
And the cab definitely is not going to go to waste. We're not chopping it up.
No.
We're just going to figure out something else
with it.
We're
going to disassemble it and store it.
That's what's so fun about what you do in this whole YouTube thing.
Every project becomes another project.
Yeah,
or 5.
It's so neat. I love it.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to do, because every vehicle needs to be a little lower. Rich had this set up for pure utilitarian, so it was a road machine, and I know he wanted the gearing as tall as possible because it is geared low for the freeway, so these really tall tires, they're measuring like 42 or 44 inches tall. Let's discuss. These are the same size tires all the way around, front and back, and for the hot rod, you want the big and little, right? So hopefully this wind isn't too much, but we'll try to talk over it.
I may have to switch the gimbal, but we'll see. See how it does. It's windy here today in the desert.
So these are 11R22.5, so these are big rig style rims, and I was overestimating. They're about 40.5 inches tall. That's still pretty tall. 40-inch tire, that's like off-road style talk, right? I got this set, a pair, of 255 70 22.5s. So that means these are 36 inches. That's 4 inches smaller. That'll lower the truck just with the tire change about 2 inches. And I'm going to attempt once again to change this tire by hand. I did that one yesterday and I learned a bunch of stuff. I did the passenger side because I saw at the truck stop there is a machine to do this, but I see guys just doing it with a hammer and a couple of tire irons. So I did the same. I broke the bead, even though these don't have a safety bead like car tires, so they're a little less difficult. I mean, it's a heavy piece of rubber, but it's less difficult to separate the rim from the tire because there's not that safety ridge on it. It's a little hard to explain, but I'll get into that as we work. So I attempted to take off the lug nuts with my standard impact wrench. It's about that size, pistol grip. And yes.
That looks like an alien shooter device.
Oh, it even
That's
makes
what
it
I
sound
would
like
call
that.
it. I just want to say.
Let's take a moment.
I did see the Killer Clowns on Fremont Street on Halloween with their alien shooter device.
Okay, well.
Anyway.
Aside from that, this thing spins really fast and it takes lug nuts off. We had to upsize to an even bigger alien shooter device. This is a 1.5 inch lug nut on that thing. And yeah, it needs some impact to get them loose. So while we're on vacation, I ordered this, it arrived, and I was able to take the lug nuts off. This is a heavy truck, so I'm going to use 3 floor jacks under the front axle because we don't have truck style stuff. I told Jamie the joke, all of our tools just got too small, so we're going to be upgrading everything. We're going to have to move the engine in this. The engine and transmission are massive. It's a 500 cubic inch V8 with a big old transmission behind it. And yes, in case you're wondering, my knees are feeling better. That's why I'm not crunching around like I was last week. All right, let's knock the last of these lug nuts off. Put a little freedom juice on there.
Oh God.
It's considerably more powerful.
Oh my. Thanks.
It's quite the machine. I'm going to take the little valve out of the tire to let the air out. And then we're going to try to figure this out. These things are sometimes 100 psi. So if you're doing this, don't let that thing shoot your eye out. Be cautious. So Jamie can start the timer right now because there's a lot of air in this thing. Can you dig it? Doesn't that look a bit more like a hot rod in the front? Yep. I think so. So yesterday I was able to take the tractor and push the tire down off of the seal on the rim, but I've seen guys do it with a sledgehammer too, so we're going to try that first in a half hour when the rest of the air is out of this thing. While the tire's off, I want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen for the second part of the lowering. See these 2 blocks right here?
Yes.
Pretty much to lower the vehicle, you want to bring the axle up into the chassis. The thing that's the biggest problem with a straight axle, this giant beam shape, see the blue thing in there? That's the oil pan?
Yes.
And if you look at it from this angle, a lot of times what happens is as the axle rises up, it will hit that oil pan and cause big trouble. So that's pretty much the limit as to how low you can make it. It's going to contact that oil pan eventually. So those two blocks look about to be a 4-inch drop. So with the tire, the rubber drop being 2 inches and the blocks, that's a 6-inch drop with just nuts and bolts and a tire change. So we're gonna change that tire and then get under here, handle that business. Yeah, I think for dramatics, we're just gonna fire up that tractor. It's gonna be exciting to roll this out the door. I don't feel like hitting this with a hammer. So you can see what that did. Freed it up. We'll do the other side.
I have a question.
Why is the hood on the tractor wide open?
You read my mind.
The hood on the tractor's open because it's so dang windy out here that the latch came undone driving into the wind. The thing went wha-bang! Broke the little support rods, and look how bent the top is. So when the bucket came up, it grabbed the hood, totally twisted it.
Oh my.
So it won't even shut now. I have to take it completely off and repair it. So
Oh my God.
that's why the hood on the tractor's open. 80-mile-an-hour gusts.
It gets windy out
And
here.
hello. But look. Let's go back in the shack.
Hi, Blue.
And now the wrestling match will commence. So I learned yesterday that it's easier to take the tire off from the rear side of the rim. See this little dip here? It's actually a raise on this side, but it's a dip in the rim. So you have to get the edge, you have to get this edge here to fall into that ridge to pull this side out. If you haven't changed the tire, this might be news, but it's the same thing with bicycles. You have to push the center of it into the center of the rim. You have to push the bead of the tire into the center of the rim to get the other edge out. And this happens to be closer to the back side to take it off. Some heavy news.
And you have to do that with all 4 tires?
This truck has 6.
Oh my God. Wow.
Put a little juice in there to help it out.
No wonder why you don't have to go to the gym. That was something people said to you at SEMA. It was
They
like,
said, look, it's Batista.
right? They're like, you look like a wrestler. You don't go to the gym. This is Ian's gym.
It's CrossFit.
It is. They actually do use like tires and stuff.
Yeah. So see how I push this down into that groove? And you want it as close to the top of that groove as possible because you have to stretch this up and around. Aha. Hoo-wee.
So before you say anything else, just check your mic. Make sure nothing came unhooked. Sorry. He said,
Told you it's going to be a wrestling match.
he's checking his microphone to make sure
Am I coming in clear?
everything's plugged in nicely.
How does that look? I think it looks good.
You
A
drink a little.
trauma surgeon came up to me at SEMA and said, I notice you're always breathing really heavy. It's because your nose is broken and you have airway restriction. I said, you're right. So he's told me to do a lot of breathing exercises to strengthen the diaphragm. Because I noticed that. You'll hear when I even watch the videos, I'm like, trying to catch my breath all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. But that guy knew what was up, and I was like, thanks, man.
So if anybody knows a good surgeon,
I broke my nose 3 times, twice playing hockey, once with a coil spring, almost killed me.
Ian needs a functional rhinoplasty. So if anybody's got a good one, email us. Not even joking.
No, true story. I'm gonna put some more juice on there. All right. So same thing as before, but in reverse. We know that the back side, see the ridge, the indent here? So we know, see how big this space is? That's why you wouldn't want to try to pull it over the front because it's stretching it that much more. So you start on the rear side. At least on this rim. Yeah.
How much would you say that rim weighs? 50 pounds?
Something around there.
Wow.
That's why they put aluminum rims on big rigs. Not only do they look cool, it's lighter. Bet you didn't think you were going to see that today, but here we are.
You wanted full custom garage, or full custom Ian, I should say. You got it.
Yeah. CrossFit commence.
If Ian can do it, he ain't taking it and paying to get it done.
Got a tractor and a dream. What more does a man need? Winner. All right. Let's put some air back in that, shall we? Got our little valve. I'm just going to put this on wide open because it takes so much. Typically, you'll use this little thing and fill it, but these take so much air, you just wide open. And that's the story of how tires are born, children.
Wow. Is all I gotta say. Holy smokes.
Now I'll put a little more air in the traditional fashion. Yeah, these are rated for 120 PSI. That's about as much as my air compressor works on, so I'm not even worried about a gauge. I know that compressor is not running right now, so it's at about 80, I bet, when it kicks on. So I can fill this up until that compressor kicks on.
Oh, because all the pressure from inside the compressor comes out into the tire. And then when you hear it go, it's building up pressure in the compressor.
Much like the beating of our hearts.
Oh, now I get it. Wow. And if anybody wants to make a comment that I should have known that, I literally did not know that.
All right.
Save your snide comments.
Put a couple big old jack stands under the front of this thing for safety.
Please.
Check it out. These are rated at 12 tons. And now the peanut gallery will chime in on the poor construction of said company's jack stands, but I'm going to disagree with you there. But I don't really just rely on one thing, so I'm going to have 3 hydraulic jacks and 2 jack stands, so
Got
I
it.
think nothing's going to happen.
This ain't your first truck rodeo.
Oh, there was that one truck rodeo, but that's all my past now. So see, now the entire weight of the rig is on one jack stand, and it didn't break yet, so let's put everything else in there too.
I like it.
A lot of folks have seen videos, etc., on the strut coil spring compressors and how they come apart. I got it right in the face. So it's good to have good tools, or at least safety check 3 times. So there we go. We'll have 1 supporting the axle, 2 supporting the truck. Then I'm going to put 1 more under the axle in the center. Yeah. All right, I'm going to get the air hose and clean off some of that dust and crud. And Jamie, you can look at the angle I think that you might consider best for this. So I think the standard size lug wrench or impact wrench will work on these. I'm going to take the 4 bolts out that hold the leaf spring shackles. See what happens. Well, almost too easy. That is one thing I do appreciate West Coast vehicles. If you're in the Midwest, this would be a rusty nightmare under here. All right, get around the back side. Once I get this out of the truck, I'll explain everything. It's just a little difficult to get in here and figure it all out with the camera. These shackles are totally unbolted now, and they're just going to need a little hammer action to get them loose. Or not. Take some of the pressure off, let this drop out. Let's see what happens here. Here they come. So this is what we're fiddling around with under there. Typical leaf spring shackle. I'm going to take all this crud out of the threads. The old nut used to go about here, but since we're taking the spring stack or those spacers out, we're going to need all of this thread. You can see this is typical. They get crudded up with dust, etc. And I've heard some talk about not using these things twice, like once they're loosened, don't reuse them. But this is for proof of concept. This is not like a commercial rig. So I'm going to put it together like this. All right, I'm going to pop that other one out. I love it when a project looks easy. This could have been an all-day affair. For now, I'm going to take the bump stop out of here. This is the piece that hits the frame should the truck get all the way slammed shut. Right now, I'm just going to take the rubber off because I plan on using airbags later as the bump stop. That's a much later thing. And in here, you can see this one center nut. That's the thing that holds this whole stack together. So we're going to have to take this nut off. And a lot of times they're just rusted to nothing. So we'll see how that works. But the key here is to take these 2 blocks out. One of these is the shock mount, but we're going to have to relocate the shocks completely because it's going to be so much lower. I'm going to put some pressure on this. Let's see if I can't get that to loosen up. I'm gonna guess it's either 11/16 or 3/4. Let's see. Yeah, so the whole thing is spinning. That's very typical. So I'm gonna drop this axle down. Try to get access to the bottom side of that. There's a pin in there that locates it into the axle. Drop this all the way out. That was almost too easy. The pin doesn't go through those blocks. Look at that.
Oh, so there's two bump stocks.
These are just these are raising blocks.
Oh, raising blocks. Okay.
So it becomes lowered when you eliminate them. This is the bump stop because when this comes up, it hits the chassis with the rubber.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense.
So this shock, we're just gonna let hang loose for now because we're definitely not gonna be able to reuse those in the lowered state. So what we got a pin coming here and a pin coming here. So hopefully this will just pop out. It feels like it will. So there's an identical one of these right up here. It looks like that's loose. We should be able to just pop it right into place. Everybody cross your fingers. I call that a win. Ain't every day you get it this easy. I'm gonna scrape all that crust off of there, raise it up.
Karma pain.
Heck to the yes. Let's raise this up and see what happens. So see, as the axle raises up, that effectively makes the truck lower. So now we're getting into that territory where the blocks used to hold it, but the axle comes up further. Just gonna do a little aiming from underneath. Oh, it goes right in, look at that. Hoo-wee. So for now, see it's got the little saddle for the shackle bolts. See? But we want this truck as low as possible. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna cut that right off here. That way all we have is the saddle and no bump stop for now. This is how you go low, you gotta cut stuff. There will be bump stops later, but there'll also be accessory airbags added to this. So if there is a lot of weight and it wants to bottom out, those airbags can stiffen it up. With some really low profile bump stops. We'll get out the little pliers for this job. It's like pulling teeth. Hey look, there's the air blower.
Oh, you found it.
My hands are destroyed, so I don't want to put on your safety gear.
Yeah. Well, you were saying at SEMA though,
how clean they were.
Your hands are too clean. Ew.
In really good condition. It's just sitting around our dusty desert. Got them all crusty. So when that happens, you got to dress the end of this with the grinder or a sander. So what happened is I hit the edge with the hammer, and it just pushed that little end of the thread over a bit. So I'm going to taper it just a little. See that new edge will get that nut started. Typical automotive struggle. See that? That thread's right on. Voila. All right, we're all in the clear.
New idea for art?
Art. I don't even acknowledge the word. That goes right there. Bring this up. You bitch. Go on. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is how it goes a lot of times. If you come around here, I'll show you where we're at. I'm gonna have to order new shackle bolts. See how there's no threads here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to order new ones of these that are threaded all the way up to here and more. So I can't complete this as I wanted to. But what we can do is take a look with weight on the tire and see how much lower it is.
I like it.
That'll complete this part of the adventure. Okay, I'm gonna roll this tire in and drop the truck down, and we're gonna compare bumper height from just the tire change to the actual swap with the blocks, and then decide if it's gonna hit the oil pan or not, because we might have to raise it up just a touch. Still got air. Big trucking, heavy duty. All right.
Oh my God, I already see it. It's gonna look so good.
Oh yeah. So that is considerably lower.
And that's not hitting the oil pan and all that stuff that you were talking
We're
about.
gonna look. Bumper top is 24.5 here. And it's 29 here.
Wow.
So that's a pretty considerable drop. And that's still fresh off of the lifts. Once this drives a little, I'm sure it'll come down. See what it's doing to the oil pan. Oh, plenty of room. Can you look at this angle?
Let me see. Let me sit down here.
You see the end of this?
Yeah, hold on. Let me a second. I got a glare. Yeah, okay.
So see between the oil pan here, still a considerable amount of travel. And the axle's behind, the axle's up in here. So I think that's gonna be adequate. From the rubber to the fender, it's 9.5. On this side, it's about 6. But if that was standing straight up, I bet it's about, yeah. From here it's 5. So that's a 4-inch drop. So it's a 4-inch drop just in these axle spacers, 2 and 2. Then it's another 2-inch drop just in the rubber. So it's not so intimidating now, is it? I'm feeling it. I'm gonna get onto that other side and come back soon, you hear?